So I'm going to take us back to 1959. And so this is 1959, and the Soviet premier Nikita Khrushchev is invited to Camp David, Virginia by, at the time, the US President Dwight Eisenhower. And this invitation, this drips with Cold War politics, particularly in the early decades of the Cold War. Inviting Nikita Khrushchev to Camp David was intended to quell the increasingly vexed geopolitical tensions. And beyond NATO's real threat of a third world war in those early years of the Cold War lies a more implicit posturing of American soft power in this trip. So part of that trip was Khrushchev went to California, and Hollywood, to be specific. 20th Century Fox invited the Soviet premier to Hollywood with an invitation-only luncheon. And this was a who's who of celebrity names: Frank Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe. So Nikita Khrushchev is seated at the head table with head of 20th Century Fox, Spiros Goros, and his wife Nina was literally sitting in between Bob Hope and Frank Sinatra. Apparently, and I think this is a great story, Elizabeth Taylor climbed on top of table 15 to get a better look at the Soviet premier. So in this who's who luncheon, hosted by 20th Century Fox, at some point, the USSR delegation informed Khrushchev that his plans to visit Disneyland in the coming days were no longer possible because of security concerns. And the park could not be secured, and so for the safety of the Soviet premier, there was no Disneyland. Well, in this particular episode, Khrushchev erupted, and the notoriously short-fused Khrushchev. Remember, this is the guy who banged his shoe at the United Nations and infamously promised to bury Western capitalism. So he's no longer able to go to Disneyland. And it just so happens that the Los Angeles Times was there to catch Nikita Khrushchev's self-pitied rhetorical rant, which I'm going to quote here because I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss one word of this. This is Nikita Khrushchev, the Soviet premier in 1959. Quote, "Is there some kind of cholera or launching pad out there? Have gangsters taken over the place? You have policemen so tough they can lift a bull by the horns, but you tell me that it cannot be security guarded? I would very much like to see Disneyland, but what am I to do now? Commit suicide? Such a situation is inconceivable.